Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in 21 territory in the home and the traditional lands of the Ojibwe, the Cree, and Dakota people, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40, First Nation, and then Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ron Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this morning. And introducing to my left, Carrie Linkletter, and via Zoom, the other panel member, Reese Therian. And our assessor this morning is Stephen Luvinsian, and our recording secretary is Jason Robertson. This morning, we'll be hearing an application for revision of the assessment rule according to the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application and will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that the applicant or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the city administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note the decisions in respects to the application of the appeal to the municipal board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to application for exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this morning, the matters will be, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions and the other applicant they have, and then it'll be the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each party will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application is brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket this morning. The session will close after applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded. We ask that anybody have their cell phone, please mute them. And we will have the assessor sworn in and deal with our first applicants at the same time. So, Mr. Robertson, can you swear in the assessor?
Absolutely. Mr. Assessor.
Yes.
Please state your full name.
Stephen Lobenstein.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And swear in or affirm Mr. Sakowski.
Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
That's Sakowski.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Rubenstein, I understand that we're going to go to 684 Dufferin Street, but I understand the city is seeking the non-co-op. So we'll first deal with that. So maybe tell us what's going on here.
Sure. Yeah, we're recommending non-compliance. As you can see on the front page of my brief. Simply put, they have not sent in a mailer. So I'll just do a little history of this property. This property sold in 2018 to new owners. Since it's sold, no mailers have been sent in since then. So going to my page 11, you can see the mailer that we've sent out to the correct roll number and address. And then also on page 12, you can see the registered mail that was the Canada Post got the signature for. So because of this, because they have not been compliant for quite a few years now, we are seeking non-compliance.
All right, I thank you, Mr. Sakowski. Your explanation or any questions?
Well, I have no argument against that.
All right, so the non-co-op will be granted. Panel members? I can't hear you.
Yeah, it seems Maurice.
Yeah,
Maurice-
did
Oh, there you
he say he accepts the non-co-op?
We will take a
Short recess.
5-minute break.
To discuss.
We'll ask Mr. Stepkowski to step on-side, and the panel members will
I had a,
discuss
Mr.
it.
Chairman, I had a question for the assessor. When I was looking at the documentation, could you allow?
Yes, okay. We'll call the meeting back to order. Mr. Stepkowski, you're not in any opposition, so we're going to go with the city for the non-co-op. Therefore, you will be presenting first. So the floor is going to be yours in regards to 684 Dufferin Street. So you could take us through that property, sir.
Thank you so much. So I'll be referring to my brief. I believe you have copies of my brief. And I'm just gonna go to page 3, which shows the pictures of the property. And there has been a change in the property, and I think Mr. Robinson will agree to this. If you take a look at my picture, the top picture shows the property as it is currently. And I apologize for the fact that it's a little bit dark and the sun wasn't cooperating with me at the time that I took the picture. The lower picture shows the property as it was prior to the construction of a new building on the property. So the top, if we look at the top picture, please notice that the building at the left side, it has some white panels on it. That is the new building that was constructed, I believe, in 2020. Mr. Robinson, I think you'll agree with, I think it was in 2020, I believe that it was constructed just recently.
Yeah, it was constructed, in 2020, that's correct.
2020. And now if you look again at the lower picture, you'll see that there was a building on the left, a white building on the left that was part of the property. And then on the right, you'll see some buildings right on the extreme right of that picture. Those are properties that existed prior to the construction of the new building. And the white building on the left was removed and to allow the construction of the new building. And on the following page, you'll notice that there was a board of revision order. And this order was based on, in 2020, and this was prior to the construction of the new building. And at that time, the board of revision ordered that the value be lowered based on a cap rate of 7.7%. And I argued at that time as well. And as you may know, 684 Dufferin is not in the best part of town. I believe it's near McPhillips, if I'm not mistaken. And I was arguing for a higher cap rate. I can't remember what cap rate I was arguing for at that time, but in any event, the board, I believe, understood that is not the best, it was not in the best part of town, and it applied a rate of 7.7. But that was on the property prior to the construction of the new building. And what I'd like to argue is I'm only arguing to increase the cap rate. I believe the assessor used the cap rate of 7.1%, and I'm asking for a cap rate of 7.75%. That is my only argument. Even though there's a newer building on the site, I inspected the building. It is indeed, a newer building. I still think, I'm still argue that because of the part of town that this property is located in, that a more applicable rate should be 7.75%. which we will reduce the value to $965,000 from the current assessed value of $1,053,000. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sikowski. Mr. Rubenstein, questions of the applicant?
Just a few. Since we're in agreement with all of the parameters but cap rates, I guess Mr. Sikowski produced two cap rate studies from two outside sources in his brief. They're on those last two pages, pages 6 and 7. Both of those cap rates support the city of Winnipeg's cap rate here. So I guess my question is, why would you raise the cap rate then if your evidence in your brief supports the cap rate that the city has placed on it?
Thank you, Mr. Lopstein, for bringing that out. I did forget to talk about those cap rate studies. As you may know, the Colliers shows for Class B properties, industrial properties, and I believe we can be in agreement that this is a Class B property. The high rate for a property such as this 6.75. This is an average. Well, all of these two cap rates, I believe, are show the averages of cap rates throughout the city. But because this property is located on Dufferin Avenue, I believe that it should warrant a higher cap rate, and hence I believe that the Board of Revision had agreed last time. It had agreed with me that this property should warrant a higher cap rate, I believe in this case here, even though there's a newer building on the property, I believe that it should warrant a higher cap rate, which is 7.75 in my opinion. Thank you.
That's my only question.
Ms. Linkletter, questions of the applicant?
I have no questions at this time. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Did you inspect the property?
Yes, I have. I went to specifically to look at the newer building that was constructed, and at the same time I inspected the new older building. But that was my second or third time I was at the property. The older building, they put on some newer cladding on the exterior, but on the interior there was no change.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Therian, questions?
Yes,
The applicant?
I guess your argument is that it's location only, from what I heard, your evidence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
It is, well, a couple of things. I know I've been picky here, but your first, I think it's page 6, you're showing Q2 2021, so it's beyond the reference date because it's April 1st, 2021. But I know the assessor had, so I'm crossing over, showed Q1. But the comment I was reading here, demand for good quality industrial property has increased, leading to a decrease this quarter. So, and the second point that is said, there's transaction volume for industrial family has returned to pre-pandemic levels, with office retail sales being on the slower side. So I think the evidence, I was questioning, you're talking, okay, 25% of the building now is new. If you look at the proportion of the two, isn't that a factor that would affect the cap rate? I know you talk location, but there's also the quality of the premises. So I'm questioning that, because a quarter now is basically brand new versus the other. Wouldn't that have some effect on the cap?
Well, sir, my opinion is that if you build a new building in the north part of the city, particularly in this part of the city, that doesn't mean that the value of that building is going to be the same as building that similar type of building or same building in another part of the city, the south part of the city. So I just to go on a little bit further, I've actually been building houses for many years, and the analogy that I use quite often is that if you build $1 million house, let's say in Royalwood or in the south part of the city, that house is not going to have the same value in the north end. And similarly in this particular case, yes, indeed, there was a new structure built on that site, but the value of that structure is not going to be the same if it was built in another part of the city.
Okay, so your basic argument remains the location only. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Sitkowski, was there a building permit taken out for this, or do you know what the approximate cost was for the new parts?
Ms. Merritt, I'm sorry, I didn't ask that question. I'm sure that there was a building permit issue, but I can't say for certain.
But do you know the cost? Did you talk to your clients? And
No, I based on the knowledge that I have, I suspected that the cost would be somewhere around the $300,000-400,000. It's not there's no foundation. It's on a slab on grade, and it's just when I inspected the building, there was a pretty standard type of finish that was used.
Okay. And your cap rate, you're using 7 3/4. Is that correct?
That's what I would like to.
Okay. And how and where did you derive the 7 3/4?
Well, first of all, I looked at the previous board decision, which used the cap rate of 7.7.
Yeah, but that's a different reference here.
Well, it is, of course it is. I understand that. But the argument that I was making at that time again was because of the location of the property, I felt that a higher cap rate should be used. And I believe that the board did agree with me at least part of the way, or most of the way. I'm not sure why they decided to do that, but that was my argument that I made at that time.
All right. I thank you. Mr. Rubenstein, Steen, the floor is yours. Your presentation, sir.
Sure. Okay, so already covered. So I'll just go into a bit more history of this property here quickly. So you can see on my page 2, it sold on July 4th of 2018 for $555,000. Since that sale, as Mr. Sitkowski talked about, there has been a renovation to the property. So if we go down to my page.
Mr. Robinson, I'm sorry can I interrupt? I just wanted to say that you mentioned that there was a renovation. There was only exterior cladding that was installed. On the interior,
Okay,
there wasn't much.
that's fine.
I'm sorry.
Order.
I should say addition, not renovation.
Continue, please.
There is an addition to the building. So on my page 13, I do have a permit with a permit value. The declared value is on the right-hand side, lower down at $500,000. It's to construct a new 2-story office addition. So each story is 1,612 square feet for a total of 3,224 square feet is the addition. So it's 2 floors. The main floor, so we'll quickly go down to my page 14. You can see the site plan. You can see where the new addition is. It's fronting Dufferin Avenue. So the main floor, you can see below that site plan, is a showroom with some offices and a mechanical room. And then the second floor is all office space. With, of course, it's all office space from the look on my page 15. So this was supped in 2021 for a value of $880,000, which was not appealed at the time. Now we have a new assessment for this cycle, and we are coming in at $1,053,000. So you can see that we have on my page 1, the actual year is built from 1977 to 2020. We put an effective age on it of 1978. The land to building is 1.67. The land is 20,000 square feet, and the gross floor and is 13,579 square feet. So since Mr. Stowski is in agreement with all the parameters but our cap rate, I'll just move on to my cap rate evidence, which is on page 6. You can see further down in the industrial section, it's the second sort of area of the chart. It's from 5.5 to 7.45 for the 20th to 80th percentile. So the vast majority of properties within Winnipeg are going to fall within this range for a cap rate. This is supported by the next few columns by some outside sources such as Kohlers, CBRE, and Cushman and Wakefield. They range from 6, or I guess 5.75 all the way up to 6.75. Again, on my page 6, you can see sort of the addition of the property. It's a 2-story property. Like I said, it was fronting Dufferin. And my page 7 or my page 9 shows some more pictures of the property, along with the warehouse portion as well. And those outside sources I talked about, I put them in my my brief so you can get a better look at them. They start on page 60. So we feel that with this addition, with the sale price and the value of the permit, we feel $1,053,000 is fair and equitable and should be confirmed. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Stokowski,
I have no questions.
thank you. Ms. Linklater,
Yeah, Mr. Steen, was anybody, did anybody go and inspect this property?
Yeah, this would have been inspected when the supplementary went out. So it hasn't been inspected for this cycle, but it would have been inspected for last cycle in 2021.
Okay, and do you have any notes on that inspection?
I don't have any notes with me at the moment. It might have just been a drive-by inspection. I don't believe they might have. They actually went inside. They just drove by to confirm that the construction was completed.
Okay, so you spoke that the component of this building is warehouse plus some office space.
So the new addition would be showroom on the bottom, as it was stated, and in the permit, and also offices on the second floor.
Okay, do you have any information on the finishings of the office and the showroom?
No, I don't have any information on the finishings inside.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
I thank you. Mr. Therian,
Yeah, just a few questions. The sub of 880,000, that was based on April the 1st, 2018 values, correct?
That's correct.
Reference date?
That would be correct.
Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, your new assessment is on April the 1st, 2021 reference date, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can see, does the aspect that on your page 6, just a question, I think it's pretty clear what you've said. It's industrial A, I would assume?
We don't really differentiate between industrial A and industrial B.
Okay. Does the aspect that there's quite a bit of office now, does that change a little bit, or it really, because I was looking at both office, although I know it's not office, but I guess the office is a little more, well, no, it's pretty close. I guess the figures are pretty well the same, whether it's office, suburban A or B, or industrial A or B, correct? Yeah, I guess so. So that has no effect on it. I'm just trying to confirm in my mind what I'm reading. That's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you. Mr. Lovenstein, there was a sale on the property in 2018, $550,000. Do you know anything about that?
All I know is that it was an arm's length sale between a willing buyer and a willing seller. Yeah, I believe it did hit the market. So other than that, I think at the time that value was fair for the property before the addition.
So you did check it out though?
Oh, I know it was between, the sale was a good sale in that sense, like, between two
Yeah.
parties that were not related.
Arm's length transaction.
Yes. arm's length.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Stokowski, summation if you want.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, I thank you. Mr. Lubenstein,
No
summation.
No summation.
All right. Mr. Stokowski, thank you for your appearance this morning and results very soon. Stephen, thank you very kindly for your presentation.
Thank you.
Have a good day, and I think we can now, that is the end of our docket, so we can now adjourn.
Stephen, take care.
Take care, Les. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Stephen.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Thanks,
day.
Les.
Thank you. Thanks.